Do I have to? What is up, you sexy YouTube mother lovers? As you can probably tell by my voice, I most certainly contracted the evil Ooga Booga coronavirus at SHOT Show 2020 this year. The Wu-Tang cough, the Kung flu. Normally I think people freak out about these, fake yearly epidemics that everybody's gonna die from, but this time I think I might actually be kind of, fucked. Given that this is the one show every year that people are kind of expected to get sick at the end, at the city that is a very popular tourist destination by Chinese tourists, at a show that's taking place during the Chinese New Year. Ooh. But before I actually fucking die, I thought I would go over some of the highlights for SHOT Show 2020 and what it could bring to the AK community. First up at bat, we have everybody's favorite Century Arms. A lot of the same old stuff there at the Century booth. They're pushing the Canic pistols pretty hard. They got the PSLs that are still being imported. They're definitely pushing their US made stuff hard, potentially even harder than in years past. The new offering though, that's supposed to be the new hotness over at Century, is their US made AK-74. Been really interesting to see a lot of companies kind of acknowledge the gap in the 74 market now as 545 kind of becomes the new hotness, and Century is no exception. So they had their prototype out there of the new US made AK Century 4 offering that they are in the works on, I guess. A couple interesting notes, notably that it has a bulged front trunnion. Not really sure what that's all about. Obviously it's something that's done for additional strength. Not sure why they feel like it's necessary. Really didn't get an answer on that one. I'm really not actually sure why they would decide to do that, just because if the Vishka front trunnion is as good as they claim, then you should have no problem if you're containing 7.62 by 39, perfectly locking up and working acceptably on the Vishka front trunnion. You should be able to use that same size of trunnion for 5.45 and not have to beef it up. And if you are beefing it up just for testing, what's the point if your testing data is wrong if you're just going to shrink it back down and have to start from scratch anyway? This is just really a confusing move, and I'm really not, it doth give my brain the fuck. But they were talking about their Project 545, where they were planning on taking 5 industry influencers as far as 4 AK fans off the street type of thing, and doing a bunch of tests that they want to live stream. I think it's a bold move on their part. I'm really interested to see what kind of tests they come up with. It was kind of implied that they wanted me to be a part of it, and even though I haven't really hid my dislike of some of the offerings of the company in the past as far as their US made line, it is something that I do owe objectivity to, I guess. So if we were going to do it and live stream it, the results are the results. I think it's a good move for them to do it live. That way there's not going to be any kind of shicey type of editing or anything going on. So we'll see what happens. I'm interested to see the future of it. They made a very big deal out of having a cleaning rod and a bayonet lug. It's 2020. I don't think anybody gives a fuck about that anymore. Enough with that FUD shit. Legitimately, I've never used a fucking bayonet on an AK. Well, that's a lie. I don't intend on ever using an AK and a bayonet, or fuck. I need to go to bed. I don't think the average consumer really has to worry too much about whether or not it has a bayonet lug or a cleaning rod. I think they're focusing on kind of the wrong thing there. Those are nice little add-ons for the traditional look, but I'm much more concerned about whether or not my trunnion's going to explode while I'm shooting it. That's the bigger deal. Anything else is just kind of brownie points on top. So now moving from Century Arms over to Kalashnikov USA. 2020 is going to be kind of a big year for Kalashnikov USA. They finally seem to have gotten their footing. It's been a rough start. It's taken them about half a decade to go from, launching their brand to actually having products on the market. But it looks like they've kind of got their shit together. The new CEO, Jonathan Mossberg, really seems to have kind of pulled that company together, and really, it does seem like they have kind of gotten their shit together in recent months. They've been shipping their KR9s and KP9s, I think is the pistol version. Kind of like a US made clone of the Vityaz, which is the 9mm direct blowback AK, which are pretty rad, not gonna lie. It's a really sexy looking gun. Of course, they had those in the booth. They had their Comrade shotguns, which they look really neat. I'm kind of excited in the variety of their offerings on that shotgun. It's gonna have a hard time competing with like the SDS Lynx and things like that, just at a price point sort of thing, but I do kind of like the variety that they're offering as far as like offering it in the firearm configuration that kind of falls in the same like pistol brace exception. The big thing they launched this time around was their AK-103 clone. Really not actually sure if this version counts as an AK-103. I'm not saying it doesn't, I'm just actually not sure if it does or not. Because the traditional AK-103 has a side folding stock on the rear, cut for a side folder. This one just kind of has a standard fixed rear trunnion, but I do know they are planning on having a side folder version out fairly soon, according to their reps. I did actually get a chance to talk directly to Jonathan Mossberg a little bit. Actually a very cool guy. I got to have some one-on-one time with him and kind of just ask a few questions about some of the lineup stuff. It seems like they've really gone whole hog as to making all of this stuff US made, down to the screws and just every single piece of that gun being American made. And the styling was the interesting part. So on their new AK-103s, they even have the newer 100 series, like small stem bolts and things like that for the guys who really want to do the deep dive stuff. So it's kind of 74 style in the way that it's done, a 74 style extractor, a 74 style bolt stem. So they really did kind of do an accurate replication of what would be an AK-103. Really not enough data out there to say whether or not it's good or not. We'll see what happens when it ships. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm kind of excited to see what they do with it. And I guess we will see when they're on the streets. All right, moving on to Arsenal. Arsenal USA has announced the AK-20. This kind of had a big marketing push in the beginning, and I don't know what we were expecting. It's an interesting concept, more or less free float front end. I think they mostly run them suppressed. It was not super clear, but adjustable gas system. And from what I was to understand, they have milled receivers right now, but they are going to be opening them up to stamped variants in the future. At a price point of like $2,000 to, I think it was $2,600. I'm really not sure where this is gonna land in the market. It's kind of different from anything that's out there right now. It's definitely a different move for Arsenal to be doing actual R&D and kind of coming up with new stuff for the American market. I'm kind of curious to see where this goes. Really have no idea. Didn't shoot one. There's no consumer feedback yet, obviously, but bold move, Cotton. Well, let's see how it pays off. And I do want to make clear, everybody's talking about Arsenal made a 50 caliber AK. That's bullshit. It's crap. Okay, technically it's not. It's still technically 50 calibers, and the bullet diameter is half an inch, but it is not 50 cal, 50 cal. It's not like AK-50, 50 cal. It's 50 Beowulf. They can't actually say Beowulf because the name is, trademarked. I think it's Alexander Arms, and they get a little finicky about people saying Beowulf. I can say Beowulf. Arsenal can't say Beowulf, so they've been saying it's a 50 cal. My 50 cal destroyed early tanks. Their 50 cal fits in an AR-15 magazine, so it is what it is. Honestly, I don't even like 50 Beowulf. It's like, congrats, you made a worse 458 SOCOM. Now, last but certainly not least, we have the offerings from Palmetto State Armory. Palmetto State Armory is also talking about their new AK-74 line. They also have an AK-556 line that takes AR-15 magazines. They're also talking about their new AK-103s, and realistically, they just dumped a fuckload of shit on the AK market, and it's been kind of interesting. Among some of the things that they put out there was a Chinese spiker front sight block, like the kind of folding bayonet, one of their prototypes that is commonly found in a lot of Chinese guns. Interesting move. I honestly was not expecting that. I think they're kind of neat. Didn't really think there was a big space in the market for it, but I could be wrong. That was just kind of a weird move. Out of all the things they could have released, I was not expecting that to be on the list. Of course, their GF3 stuff is all forged now. They've moved to pretty much all forgings for the vital parts as far as like the bolt carrier, front trunnion. And I've been hearing rumblings about something called a GF4. Not really sure what that entails yet. I think they're just doing a lot more stuff in-house, which I guess is always a good thing, especially with Palmetto State Armory. The more they can bring in-house, the lower they can get their cost, the better control they have over their own production, et cetera, et cetera. So it's interesting stuff. It's really cool to see people in the manufacturing side of the AK community actually listening to the market and saying, okay, well, what do you guys want? You want 74s? Cool, we'll do 74s. You want 5.56? Cool, we'll do 5.56. You want spikers? Yeah, sure, why not? All in all, I do think 2020 is poised to be one of the biggest breakout years for the AK platform. Is it going to peak in 2020? Possibly, who knows? But I do think it is in a stronger position than it ever has been before to kind of take over a lot of the AR-15 market share, which is exciting news for everybody who likes the platform anyway. Not exciting news if you have an AR-15 only company. That's, you're fucked, bud. But that's kind of my take on SHOT Show 2020. Sorry, I didn't really film a whole lot. I was kind of separate from my camera guy who's working with Paul and our Tactical at the time. And I was just off doing a bunch of meetings and things and just kind of running around. It was awesome running into everybody that stopped me at SHOT Show. I love taking pictures with you guys. I love meeting you guys. It's awesome. Wouldn't have it any other way. So thank you guys so much. I'm gonna go curl up into a ball and die and hopefully be brought back to life on the third day so I can film gun meme review. So thank you, you sexy YouTube mother lovers, and I will see you on Thursday. Thanks. But before I actually fucking die, I thought I would give you... I couldn't get that out with a straight face. Well, at least you know I have fun with this occasionally.